Today's the day. It is the day.
Wait, where is he?
Well, listen.
Wait, did he chicken out?
You know that's what he could do.
Is he still in New York?
No. This is payoff edition of First Take, folks. I'm Carrie Champion, Skip Bayless. It's Stephen A. Smith's birthday, and I know many of you are wondering where's Stephen A. He didn't chicken out. In fact, I think he's doing something very similar to one Terrell Owens.
Really?
Yeah.
It's my team. It's my quarterback.
That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. Stephen A. Smith, where's your quarterback? Number 9.
There he is. He's in the house. Tony Romo is here.
Tony. Stephen A. Tony. Yay!
You look good in that jersey. I think you ought to wear that more often.
You look amazing.
Yep. I like the hat.
I like everything about it. You look so good. Your swag is back. Tony! That's my quarterback.
Stephen A. Romo in the house.
Number 9, it's your birthday.
How does it feel?
It's your birthday, number 9.
It's the worst day of my professional career.
No, it's not.
This is just, good Lord, I can't believe.
Have mercy.
Oh,
you know what?
This really hurts. You know, Skip Bayless, you've done a lot of low things to me in my day. You really had. This is the lowest of the low. You hoodwinked me.
I must admit.
You hoodwinked me.
This is the greatest day of my
your
professional
career?
life.
This
It is.
unbelievable, man.
Yeah. You know what? You look to me like a walking piece of mediocrity.
Oh, exactly.
You know what?
Accident waiting to happen.
No, he looks to me like an accident that has happened.
You're an accident
Right?
that happened. How are you, Tony? Talk to us. Come on, Ro.
It's bad. It's a bad. Look. It's my birthday, but it's bad. I've never been so sure of anything in my life than when I made this. But I did not believe for 1 second that I had a shot at losing this bet. I really didn't.
Okay.
This is very bad, man. I don't even know what to say.
Well,
this hurts.
From my heart, from Carrie's heart.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, bro.
Happy birthday.
Thank y'all so much. I
Yep.
appreciate
Happy
it.
birthday.
And you are a good sport
Yes.
to pay off this bet, to wear that jersey and that hat for this entire show.
You had to remind everybody
Yep.
of that part, didn't you?
2 hours.
I'm going to find a way to get you back.
I know you are.
Mark my words.
Yes.
I am not going to forget this.
So, Stephen A., let me ask you.
Yes.
You don't look a day over 35. How old are you?
I am 47 years old.
Oh, you
and
look
proud
great.
of it. Because
You
I
look
don't want to
great.
be younger. See, I'm as long as you don't look that age and feel
You
that
don't.
age, I'm
You don't.
good. I am very, very happy to be approaching 50. I am 47 years old. I feel better than I have felt in years. I'm good.
You look
I'm
good.
good.
All right, gentlemen, we'll settle
The
down.
jersey makes you look a little
younger and better. All right, let's move
does.
on to the topic, folks. I know you at home are having a lot of fun with one Stephen A. Romo, and you are allowed to.
Stephen A. Romo. That's
Stephen
what I
A.
am
Romo.
today. That's what I am today, Stephen A. Romo.
Stephen A. Romo. No.
I can't even say anything.
He can't. Tweet
How
us
about all
your
these
best captions
All these people
Stephen
write,
A.
take a picture.
Romo, and we will read them on the air. We have, if you could, we'll show you a little later. The studio is filled today. We have people coming from all over. We have Mike and Mike hanging out just to see this guy in the Stephen A. Romo jersey, because it's Stephen A. Romo
beautiful
jersey now.
thing.
You look good, boo. You look good. All right.
I heard Jerry Jones is looking for me, too.
He's-
Ain't that bad?
It's
I mean,
awful.
it's bad.
It's awful.
I can't find a man for years, but he's looking for me today.
From one great quarterback to another quarterback that's improving. Let's talk about Colin Kaepernick and the 49ers. They have their 7th straight win on Monday Night Football. San Francisco trailed 14-0 in the second quarter. But before the night was over, Kaepernick threw for 343 yards and 3 touchdowns to erase that 14-point deficit. 3 straight wins for the 49ers, who are now 4-2 in the NFC West. So let's talk about competition, Stephen A.
Yes.
Where do they rank in the NFC?
Right now, Skip Bayless, Jerry, I will tell you that when we look at the San Francisco 49ers, obviously they beat St. Louis last night. St. Louis offense having a rookie quarterback. I mean, it is what it is. He's a novice. We understand that. He's got some promise, but he ain't ready for that kind of primetime matchup. But when you look at the San Francisco 49ers in terms of their formula, smash mouth football, tough defense, and a running game, I think the Dallas Cowboys showed us just a day earlier that that's the recipe for success in the NFC. So I think right now, even though it's just 2 games that the Seattle Seahawks have lost on the season, and nobody is trying to act like they're not the reigning defending Super Bowl champions and they're not a team that can overcome whatever doldrums they're experiencing right now and ultimately represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. As of right now, based on what we're seeing, I definitely think that you could put the San Francisco 49ers at number 2. Even though they beat the Dallas Cowboys should still be number 1 in the NFC at this moment in time, considering the lopsided fashion in which they dominated Seattle. San Francisco hasn't played Seattle this year yet, so we don't know what they're going to do and what they're going to be, because even though San Francisco has quality players and quality receivers, they don't have a Bryant for the Seattle Seahawks secondary to contend with. So we'll see how it players out when they go up against Seattle. San Francisco I'm talking about. But as of right now, I think the way, the adversity that they have faced, the way they have fought through it, the fact that Jim Harbaugh continues to coach his butt off in terms of having this team prepared, the success that they've had on the road with him as their coach, all of these things being considered, I'd have to say that it's Dallas 1, San Francisco 2, and Seattle 3 in the NFC as we speak at this particular moment in time.
Wow. I can't do that. Obviously, off yesterday, we talked about this. I have Dallas number 1 in the NFC. Heck, I got them number 1 in the NFL right now. Just right now. I'm going to give them that because they have earned that. With the big win over New Orleans and going up and beating the champs, beating up the champs in their backyard. I still have Seattle number 2 in the NFC. And this is a coin flip for me, because I must tell you, even though it was just St. Louis last night, what did your eyes tell you last night? This is just me. I'm just going on almost like subconscious eye test. My eyes told me that San Francisco is coming.
Yes.
They're
That's
coming.
What it told me.
Like this is looking like a football team now. And it's telling, my eyes are telling me that the more this team gets distracted, the better it plays. And I can't figure that out. Although what's Harbaugh's mantra? What does he preach and coach and teach? Is that I'm going to make you uncomfortable, because the more uncomfortable you get, the better you will play. Patrick Willis was given the pregame shout talk, the pep talk to the huddle. And it's like, let's be uncomfortable. That's the whole message of this team. So they have all kinds of issues to be uncomfortable about. Now Patrick Willis has a toe injury. But it seems like the more beat up they get, the more threatened they get, the better they play. Now, in the big picture, did I love it that St. Louis hung in this game and had a chance until late? That St. Louis had the ball back with your undrafted free agent quarterback. One more time they had the ball back. And it bothered me a little bit. Harbaugh tried to drop the hammer on him about 4 times on short yardage plays by just saying, I'm going for this 4th and short. Remember at the goal line? And what happened? Stuffed. And for the night, does it bother you that Frank Gore had a total of 38 yards on 16 tries, which is 2.4 yards a carry? That bothers me. But there's something about the way the defense played, albeit against the undrafted free agent second-year quarterback, that looked nasty to me. Like they're just flying around making plays. Parrish Cox off the scrap heap is making plays at cornerback. And finally, and the biggest picture of all, is that was one of the better games Colin Kaepernick, to me, has ever played. I mean, didn't we go through all of last year waiting for Colin Kaepernick to be Kaepernick, and he never was?
But that 80-yard touchdown pass surrendered by St. Louis right before the half was inexcusable.
But it was beautiful.
It was beautiful because that corner got schooled on that route. Look at that right here. You can't let that happen at that point in time in the game. They're clearly trying to go. They're clearly looking to make something happen. Just play back. Back. You can't let him get behind.
That's the same cornerback who picked 6 Tony Romo when they played up there. Okay, Janoris Jenkins, he's a cluer, as they call him. He's trying to smell it out and pick 6 it. And guess what? The guy, Brandon Lloyd, who could never run. That's why he fell down in the draft to, what was he, a 4th-round pick back in 03? He never can run. I was in San Francisco during his rookie year. All he does is get open and make unbelievable catches. He still has the best hands in pro football, does Brandon Lloyd. And he has been an invaluable addition to this receiver corps this year.
But to get back to what you were saying, Frank Gore averaged 2.4 yards a carry last night.
No good.
Carlos Hyde had averaged 1.3.
Yeah.
That's no good.
No.
But they still rushed the ball 30 times. Jim Harbaugh called 30 running plays.
Okay.
And what that tells you is that there's a level of faith in that defense that they're going to keep you in the games. So we're trying to wear you down. We're trying to play smash mouth football, which is why I think there's a reason for concern if you're the Seattle Seahawks, because Dallas proved that you can wear them down. And showing that ingredients, they're going to have to be able to answer that, which is the only reason why I put San Francisco at number 2, at least for the moment in time. The other thing that I wanted to point out, Skip, is this. This is a team that expects Navarro Bowman to be back.
They do.
They expect.
I don't know when.
They expect,
it might be later than sooner.
Well, again, week 10. Let's say week 10, week 12. If you come back with just 4 weeks before the playoffs and you manage to put yourself in the hunt, this is a big-time issue. Because to me, when I look at San Francisco, to know that those 2 boys are out, but to still have the level of faith.
You mean Alden Smith?
That's right, Alden Smith.
Who's
and
back
Bowman.
November 10th.
Right, Alden Smith and Navarro Bowman. To know that they're out, but to still have the faith that they appear to have in their defense. That's a big, big deal to me, Skip.
Okay, they're still second in the NFL in yards allowed, which is pretty great without those guys.
That's right. That's right. And so I just think that that's a big, big deal, because what they're saying to you is, again, what you pointed to. We're coming.
Okay.
We're coming.
They are coming, and yet they will go to me as far as the quarterback can take them. And last night, the quarterback had a QBR of 92.8 on a scale of 100. That was pretty great.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that all Colin Kaepernick has to do is limit the turnovers. Because everything else he does, if he's inclined to run instead of commit a turnover, for example, he's going to make plays with his feet as well as his legs, and he's going to move the chains. As long as he keeps the turnovers to a bare minimum, San Francisco has a legitimate shot yet again to come out of the NFC.
Okay. Kerry, do you know how weird this is for me to be speaking to Stephen A. Romo?
I can't even. I'm still shocked by it. Let me ask you a question before we move on to the next topic, Stephen A.
Low.
All seriousness, are the Cowboys America's team? I'm asking you a question, Stephen A.
I'm not answering that.
I don't understand why you don't answer the question.
I can't answer that.
You sure look like America's
I can't answer
you
that.
You look like
I lost a bet, and I'm honoring it. I'm honoring it, but I will not concede that.
You lost this bet 9 ways, right?
9 different ways. You look good, though.
Yeah.
You do.
That's real.
Next question.
Yeah, you look real, real good.
All right, y'all.
You guys talked about San Francisco will only go as far as Colin Kaepernick goes. All praise for Colin Kaepernick last night, but let's talk about what's next for the 49ers. It's the Broncos. San Francisco heads to Denver as 7-point underdogs, according to Westgate. Broncos are 4-1, and early on this season, they were prohibitive favorites to win the Super Bowl. So let's talk about this 7-point spread. Again, according to Westgate, Stephen A. Is that too high?
I think it's too high.
Okay.
I think it's too high because these are the San Francisco 49ers that we're talking about here. This is a team that is capable of winning on the road. Number 3, they lean on their defense a lot. They are rarely, if ever, intimidated. And they know that when you're going up against Peyton Manning, you've got to come ready. And so for me, this is the kind of challenge that was tailor-made for the San Francisco 49ers. In most instances, you're not blowing them out the water. Not to mention the fact that we usually use the preseason to somehow gauge or what somebody's going to do in the regular season. Let's keep in mind that the San Francisco 49ers got run over by the Denver Broncos in the preseason. Now, in some people's eyes, that might be a precursor to what's coming. To me, it's the polar opposite with the San Francisco 49ers. The fact that that did happen to them in the preseason, that it did happen to them on their home turf, which hasn't even established itself as a home crowd yet. As far as I'm concerned, they'd be better off playing on the road. I think when you're going to Denver and you're in the Mile High City and you're going up against Peyton Manning, I think these boys know they've got to be ready. I believe they will be ready. And when you heard Demaryius Thomas screaming about how easy it was against the New York Jets last week, when you know what Julius Thomas can bring to the table, or Wes Welker can bring to the table, or Emmanuel Sanders can bring to the table, with this guy, whether it's Monty Ball or Hillman now, who rushed for 100 yards last week, I think the San Francisco 49ers know that if they don't show up, they could get blown out of the state of Colorado. I don't think they're going to let that happen. I think this is going to be a nail biter. I think they're going to be in Peyton Manning's face. I don't think it's going to be easy at all. And I think as a result, this will be a tight game, far closer than the 7-point spread that we just saw.
I am with you on that. Although, I point out, as you well know, it's no bargain to play on a Monday night in St. Louis, fly home, and then have to eventually fly to Denver.
It's a lot of travel.
That's tough duty, okay? But this spread obviously was made at 7 before last night. My eye test told me 49ers are coming together, and I believe this spread will be bet down. I think the betting public will jump on the 7 and bet it down to, I don't know, 5.5, maybe 6. But the point is, you're more sold on the Broncos than I am. And I will be the first to admit publicly the reason I keep naysaying the Broncos is because I picked New England to win the AFC, as did you. But I picked San Diego to win the AFC West. And I'm sticking with it. I like the Chargers as the breakout team that I thought they were going to be. That remains to be seen. But I think I continue to look at Denver and try to discount Denver. They don't run the ball the way they did with No-Sean last year. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
Okay, now Monte Ball's out with the groin.
Which they underestimated. They underestimated the impact of No-Sean Moreno.
So now Monte has been healthy much of the year. They are 26th in the league in rushing. Although I must point out that's only one notch below my San Diego Chargers, who are 25th in rushing because they've been without Ryan Matthews, who's due back at some point soon. And obviously, they've had other issues at the running back spot. Now they're down to that rookie from the University of Buffalo, that Brandon Oliver. So they lost Danny Woodhead, who was instrumental in the win over Seattle. So my point is, Emmanuel Sanders has been, as you pointed out many times, much better than Eric Decker was.
Easily.
And so he now leads this team in catches with 35. He has no touchdowns, but that doesn't matter to me because Julius Thomas has been a touchdown target machine, hasn't he?
Yes.
So he's already got 9 touchdowns.
And by the way, Peyton Manning in Denver is emulating New England's two tight end sets.
Okay. So again, are they as good as they were last year without No-Sean? I don't know. I think they're slightly not quite as good as they were a year ago.
Right.
So that's why, if we're just looking at this game, I think it's going to be a tough test at home for them. I think the 49ers play enough smash-mouth defense, they will keep this game close.
Well, listen, they'll keep the game close. They got to be careful. Because when Peyton Manning gets rolling, it's hard to stop them. They're going to have to play some smash-mouth football. We're going to see how Denver responds in a game like this as well. I feel a lot better about San Francisco's chances if Patrick Willis didn't hurt his toe last night, if Navarro Bowman was back, if Aldon Smith was back. I feel a lot better. But at the same time, it's also going to show me what this team is made of if they go into Denver and they make this as competitive as I surmise they will on Monday night. I'm interested and look forward to that. Sunday, rather. I'm just interested in seeing what they're going to do.
Okay, so what do you think? Denver better or worse than last year?
I don't think Denver's better than they were last year in terms of their running game, but I do think their passing game is better because Emmanuel Sanders is a significant upgrade to Eric Decker.
Okay, does that mean they're a better team?
Yeah, I'm going to say they're better. Here's why. They have a better passing game. The success of their offense is predicated on their passing game due to Peyton Manning and the weapons at his disposal, and their defense clearly is a bit tougher. DeMarcus Ware, Akeem Talib, Ward, and those boys. I'm not Von Miller being back, not suspended with the with the PD.
Yeah, he got dinged against the Jets, but I think he's okay.
I'm just saying. My point to you is that you've got 3 new guys and a 4th. That obviously has a significant impact. So when you look at it from that perspective, and then you saw how they performed in Seattle, although they lost that game in overtime, I do believe one could surmise that the Denver Broncos are better than what they were last year. That doesn't mean San Diego, just because San Diego is better, doesn't mean that Denver's not better. It just means that San Diego has improved. New England, they could be coming. The Baltimore Ravens, talking to Ray Lewis yesterday on my radio show. They're not going anywhere.
You had him on your radio show?
You haven't even have you had Skip on the show?
Yes,
I have. I haven't.
I was on for like a minute and a half.
Once.
That's a lie. But Ray Lewis is going to be my Monday weekly guest.
He is?
Sirius XM.
That
Mad
must be
Dog
some
Sports.
serious coin for Ray Lewis.
Mad Dog Sports Radio, Stephen A. Smith Show, 1 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern time. He's Ray Lewis. He's my brother. The bottom line is he wanted to come off with what? Now, obviously, I'm going to take care of him, but he wanted.
He'll give him a little extra cash.
Right.
I have a question.
Yes.
I can't take him seriously. I'm a bit distracted. Are you? He's focused. He's doing his job. It's just.
It's difficult because of the jersey that I'm wearing, but I can assure you that anybody takes me seriously once I open my mouth.
Is that right?
That is true.
Linda Cohn.
But you know what? I must admit, as a lifelong Cowboy fan,
go ahead.
The more I look at Stephen A. in this jersey, it's as if he's impugning the integrity of the
jersey.
Like he doesn't deserve to wear the jersey.
That is true.
One playoff victory in 17 years, and I'm stating the jersey. I'm stating it. Listen. If anything, I'm showing my class.
Oh, is that what you're doing?
And listen, I'm a man of my word. I'm a man of my word. I had to go on the air yesterday, and I got to do it again today to acknowledge that the Dallas Cowboys have made me out to be a liar, and I got to give them their props and respect. I got to give Jerry Jones his props.
Time out. We are breaking Twitter. I want to say something to you. Omar Epps, he's giving you a shout out.
What does he want?
He said Stephen A. Smith for keeping his word. Good guy. But more importantly, Linda Cohn seeing Stephen A. Smith sweating in Tony Romo jersey and Cowboys cap on First Take is hilarious. Hashtag Stephen A. Romo. Start it, guys.
Stephen A. Romo.
Keep it trending.
Here's the problem.
Stephen A. Romo.
Here's the problem with that. Omar Epps is my man. I love him dearly. He does a great job as an actor. He's a promising actor in Hollywood. No, but I just don't appreciate. I ain't heard from him in weeks, and then he comments today. And then Linda Cohn.
I love
Linda
Cohn. We love you, Linda.
How could she be away laughing at me?
Hilarious, she said.
Hilarious. Hashtag Stephen A. Romo.
Well, at least they didn't ask me to come on SportsCenter with this, so I'm happy about that.
Well, too late. You just said it.
We're not worried about any memorabilia. That memorabilia thing, kids sign things all the time. So what do you want to do, stop signing stuff? I mean, we can not have any fans, from that standpoint, and not sign for anybody. That's what it's going to come to. And that's a shame. That's a shame for college football, that we can't take a kid and somebody exploits a kid. Now, if they're getting paid for it, that's a different deal. I have no knowledge of that, and I don't believe Jameis did.
Florida State's compliance department is looking into whether quarterback Jameis Winston signed hundreds of items submitted to an autograph authentication company linked to suspended Georgia running back Todd Gurley. A source tells ESPN's Darren Ravel and Mark Schlabach that Winston told coach Jimbo Fisher he did not sign items for money, but a search of the James Spence authentication website revealed more than 950 certified autographs. FSU now investigating how the company received such a large amount of Winston's signatured items. The incident not just the same as the other incidents, but it is noted that this is one of many in 2014 for Jameis Winston. Stephen A. Smith, with the latest information, what do you make of it?
What I make of it, Kerry, Skip, is that I'm getting tired of seeing Jameis Winston's name in the news for the wrong reasons. Obviously, you know how we feel as it pertains to players being compensated. We know that it's a sham, that they're exploited, and all of that is true. But sticking to the issue, the bottom line is the rule is the rule. To be quite honest with you, I find it very difficult to believe that you signed 340 autographs that ends up with one particular website, and you didn't get any.
Now they're up to 900.
950.
You didn't get any kind of compensation for it whatsoever. I find that hard to believe.
Because, time out, because Jameis is saying, or Jimbo is saying, that kids just came up after practice or after game.
And they
so he just sequentially signed. I believe. And the kids took them all to the
I believe that it's possible that you could have signed that many. But to end up with one specific authenticator, come on now. Are we all boo-boo the fool? Let's stop that nonsense. Nobody's buying that. Nobody's believing that. Now, obviously, believing is one thing. Proving is another. And until you can prove it, you really can't engage in any level of condemnation about him from an official perspective. But nevertheless, it gets attached to the resume of Jameis Winston. it makes you think about the allegations of sexual assault. It makes you think about the pellet guns, the BB guns. You read that story in the New York Times over this week, in which I read, from beginning to end, and you see car windows being smashed and, people being hit and stuff like that, and thousands of dollars in damages being caused, and folks walking around like it's no big deal, and the star quarterback for your team is involved in that kind of stuff. It really, really makes you look at this guy and say, what the hell is going on with you? It makes no sense for you to find yourself in these specific incidences, not just because of you as an individual, but what about your so-called friends? Who's looking out for you? Because, again, the company that you keep, if they're facilitators / enablers in all of this, whereas it does not in any way absolve Jameis Winston from his culpability, at the same time it also highlights who they are as well, because nobody is pulling you away from these incidents and circumstances and saying, look,
behave.
You don't need to be caught up in this kind of situation. So it's just bad. And then when I look at Jimbo Fisher, who we've met, we've talked to, obviously have profound respect for as a coach.
Sure.
You're looking at him, and I got to tell you, Jimbo Fisher, I hope he's looking. I mean, listen, I got my hat on here because I lost a bet, and I'm honoring a bet. But please make sure that you understand I'm dead serious when I say this. Jimbo Fisher is coming across as a big-time enabler. You look at his quotes and just his body language. This man has been around long enough to be able to gauge what perception is, its impact, and how to ward those things off. He's not doing a very good job of it. He's coming across as an apologist for everything that Jameis Winston does. And when you consider what we have read, go read the report in the New York Times from this past Sunday. You're basically talking, they weren't even talking about Jameis Winston.
Nope.
They're talking about a culture around Florida State and its athletic department when it comes to the Tallahassee Police Department and how things were swept under the rug just because these guys were members of the football program. Jimbo Fisher, to me, is starting to look almost as bad as Jameis Winston without the allegations of sexual assault.
Sure.
That's an entirely different matter altogether. Sure. But if you put that on the side and put that as an isolated incident, and then you bring the other stuff into the equation, how does Jimbo Fisher look any better than Jameis Winston, considering the way that he's elected to address these matters?
What choice does he have at this point? His season is teetering. A possible second championship season is teetering. And the only small bit of sympathy I have for Jimbo Fisher is that now, thanks to Jameis and his behavior, every interview that Jimbo does, the whole interview degenerates quickly into, well, what about Jameis? What about Jameis? What about Jameis? And he just sort of tirelessly defends, he enables, he apologizes to a fault, he is an apologist, but he's dancing as fast as he can, trying to keep his program and season afloat around a kid who's still playing quarterback at a high level. We'll talk about the game
later on.
Later. But in this case, just when I thought Jameis couldn't look much worse, he looks even a little worse. And remember Mel Kiper, for whom we all have great respect.
Yes, we do.
Remember when he shocked us all? He dropped Jameis in his
first big board.
Dropped him to the bottom of the first round, like the mid-20s, as I recall.
25.
Yes.
Yep.
And then he pulled him up a little bit after a couple of nice performances, and he sort of stayed on the straight and narrow for a couple of weeks, and he was up to, what was it, around 15 or 16? But still, the plunge, and Mel talked on our show about, I thought about dropping him completely off the board, like out of the first round. Will this encourage Mel to reconsider again?
Of course.
Probably. I think so.
Of course.
Will it encourage a lot of NFL personnel people to say,
absolutely,
I don't know about this kid. Can we trust him? Can we believe him? Can we make him the face of our franchise? I don't know, because I'm going to say this again about what is now becoming a full-scale revolt among college football stars, and maybe, for all I know, basketball stars. But this is blatant disregard of this rule, because, as I've made the difference before for you, in the old days it was all about cheating, under-the-table payments, How much did you get to go to that school? Did you get a car?
Okay.
Did you get an annuity?
Okay.
And it was impossible, virtually impossible, to track that kind of payment just to sign with the school or maybe to perform for the school. This is blatant the other way, because when you sign items, you're sending the evidence of your quote-unquote crime out into the public, right? Hundreds of pieces of evidence
to the same person.
They're going up for sale.
I don't get it.
So the proof is in the signing. It's like you're putting the proof out there. It's blatant disregard for a rule that I think they've disregarded for quite a long time. Well, and I'm going to bring up, remember Johnny Manziel?
Yes.
Blatantly disregarded to the point that they had some video and some pictures of him signing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what happened to Johnny? He got so punished that his wrist got gently slapped with missing a first half of a game against Rice. A home game against Rice, he couldn't play in the first half, said the NCAA. Well, when that happened, Pandora's box swung wide open, and I think a lot of these kids said, okay, if that's all, I'm doing this because I deserve to have this money. Now, this is a separate issue from a Jameis whose track record is starting to grow here.
Okay, so that's my question for you. On balance, if we were just discussing this one incident, him signing autographs, we wouldn't say anything about a drop.
No.
It's just one incident after another. And we actually had put a graph up describing everything that happened.
Yeah, that's true, but hold on for a second.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. Remember when we were on the air the other day and I brought up Gurley and I said, that's defiance. Yeah. That's a guy, because you signing autographs, you get some money. You're saying, the hell with all this.
Sure.
You guys, you taking all of this money. I'm the star of this team. I'm getting ready to go pro, but I'm struggling right now, et cetera, et cetera. The difference between Gurley and Jameis Winston is that regardless of how Gurley got suspended and how we want to say he broke a letter of the rule, a letter of the law, et cetera, there's something inside of us that understands defiance when it comes to a guy like him.
Sure.
Jameis Winston does not have that luxury. You have no business being defiant because of the multitude of
issues that we just showed.
You found yourself involved in, and the level of attention that you've brought to Florida State in the negative. Jameis Winston is on course to possibly win a second national championship. And let's call a spade a spade. The Florida State Seminoles can't wait for this dude to go.
Oh, for sure.
They want him to stay now to finish this season, but they will be happy when this season is over. Yeah. They want Jameis Winston gone. Deion Sanders, prime time. One of my interviews that I did on my radio show with him a couple of weeks ago, one of the things he said was this. People asked the question, have we talked to him? Because obviously Deion Sanders started Florida State.
Sure.
He said people ask that question all the time. Don't you think we have? Don't you think I've called him? Don't you think Derek Brooks has called him? Yep. Don't you think Warwick Dunn has called him? We all have tried, but he's a young man, but he's a grown man, and he's going to do what he wants to do. So when you've got primetime Deion Sanders, a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest players in NFL history, okay, who's got the credentials and a voice, saying that about you, acknowledging that other stars at Florida State have reached out to you. You've got Jimbo Fisher on the record covering or trying to, like you said, Skip, what is he supposed to say? Yep. And you still find yourself in these situations. What you are saying, Jameis Winston, is whether you're innocent or not, that's a different story for another day. But the fact that you continuously put your name in these situations, you are showing no respect to your parents. No. You are showing no respect to Florida State University. You are showing no respect to great alumni members who have Hall of Fame NFL credentials. And that is the kind of stuff that could end up counting against you come NFL draft. Because as great as your talent is, will you be a headache for our franchise? Jameis Winston, somebody got to help this brother because he ain't listening. He's not listening to somebody. He's just not.
And when he speaks, you can't believe what he says.
At all.
And I'm going to hark back without going through the whole quote. Do you remember the quote that he had before he started the game at Pitt 2 years ago, before he'd ever started for Florida State? He was in a group of reporters back in their training camp in August, and he said, hey, if I ever get Johnny Manziel disease, you guys with those microphones, slap me in the face with your microphones, slap me out of it. Well, I think he always had Johnny disease. Yeah. And you know, and maybe beyond Johnny disease.
On
very
Friday.
Profound what both of y'all are saying, though. You realize that, right?
Wait, what?
What you're saying, I said it's very profound what both of y'all are saying. Because you know what you're saying, right?
What are we saying?
What you're saying is that Jameis Winston opens his mouth. You can't believe him anymore.
No way.
He comes across as a liar. That's what y'all are saying. And I'm telling you right now, I can't disagree with that. No. Nobody can.
Or there's too many incidents for us to not agree with that. On Friday, he was informed that he will have to face the FSU disciplinary hearing committee in regards to his alleged sexual assault claim by a former FSU student. We will discuss that coming up a little later on in the show. Also, again, involving Jameis Winston. According to Jimbo Fisher, you both say he is an enabler. He says that Jameis Winston will play at home this Saturday. According to our Adam Schefter, the New England Patriots middle linebacker Gerard Mayo is out for the season after suffering a knee injury on Sunday. And according to our Mike Reese, running back Stephen Ridley will also miss the rest of the season after tearing his ACL and MCL in a home game. The Patriots face the New York Jets on Thursday night. This as the Patriots seem to right the ship. They just began to right the ship, getting their players together, playing in sync after a very rough start. So now they have these two huge losses. So the question is for you, Skip Bayless. How does this affect the team?
Stephen A. Smith, I'm here to admit to you, I'm so depressed about these developments that it's very difficult for me to talk about them. And this concerns mostly you. In the history of this show, I have never been more shocked at a prediction than your prediction that New England, the Patriots I have supported for the last 5 or 6 years on this show, would, in your opinion, win the Super Bowl. Not just win a couple playoff games, win the Super Bowl. You picked my Patriots to win the Super Bowl. And I knew the moment those words came out of your mouth, they were hexed for this year. I'm hanging in there with them. Obviously, if you still have number 12, you still got a shot. But the shot ain't as good as it was a couple of days ago, because these are big, impactful losses on both sides of the ball. Gerard Mayo is one of those heart and soul kind of guys. Obviously, they lost him last year. And what happened? They didn't get out of Denver alive in the playoffs. And I think he and Wilfork were huge reasons why that the defense wasn't quite good enough to withstand Peyton Manning in the mile-high atmosphere. So now this is doubled by the loss of Stephen Ridley, who runs small to me. Every time I watch him run, I would say, gee, looks like he weighs like 195 and he weighs 220. So he was a power back, even though he ran like a smaller back. And now you're going to try to replace him with a Brandon Bolden, who is not bad, and he's going to have to be pretty good. And he goes about 220. So maybe he can run between the tackles a little bit. You know how much I love Shane Vereen. He goes about 205, soaking wet. So I'm not even sure he's 200 in reality. He's listed at 205. Can he run between the tackles? If he catches you off guard occasionally when you're running fast-paced offense, no huddle, maybe you can trick him occasionally and get Shane Vereen loose in the middle of the field. Obviously, you can throw him the ball. So the running game is going to suffer. The defense lost its quarterback, its leader, its rock. And so can the defense be as good? Well, this year you do have that cornerback out there, and that guy, Darrelle Revis, he's back. He's back on Revis Island now. So I love that part about it, but these are huge losses, and I blame them both on you.
Well, you can blame them all on me all you want to. I love how you say it's America's team, or rather it's your team or whatever. Here's the bottom line, Skip Bayless. You can't be both a Patriots and a Dallas Cowboys fan. I mean, that's
I'm a
ridiculous.
supporter of the Patriots, but I'm a born and raised fan of that team.
I believe that the Patriots are legitimately America's team. That is what I believe.
Am I a Tom Brady fan? Can I have
You
that?
are a Tom Brady fan. But at the same time, I would ask you to take into consideration that as you look at these New England Patriots, if Tom Brady and this offense continues to flourish, I think they'll be just fine. I think over the last 2 weeks, they've been very impressive.
As in win the Super Bowl fine?
You know what? It's possible. Let me tell you something right now. They can move the chains. Understand that Vereen is one of their leading receivers as well. He's got about 18 receptions.
Love it.
You still got Edelman. You still got Gronkowski. This kid, Tim Wright, has come out of nowhere. He can do some things. So when I look at them, and LaFell looks better with Tom Brady than he ever did in Carolina.
Brian Timms came out of nowhere.
That's right. So okay. Again, if the offense is clicking, then they'll make up for what you lose defensively. They'll be on the field a little bit more. Defense will be on the field a little bit less. And Bill Belichick will figure it out. Because remember, they're still formidable. They were number 3 in yards allowed against the pass. So New England, with Darrelle Revis back there, definitely puts themselves in a position where they could do some things. And you know, again, I don't like it, but at the same time, I think that they can overcome it. My primary concern, where I will jump ship on the New England Patriots, is if Gronkowski goes down again.
Yep.
If Gronkowski doesn't go down again, and Gronkowski is out on that field when it counts and ready to play, I believe that New England can pull it out.
Yep. And you made a profound point yesterday, which I appreciated and applauded, which is they're not head hunting Gronkowski, they're knee hunting him.
Yes.
Everybody's going for the knees.
I was
which
very
are vulnerable.
disappointed. I don't know about everybody. I didn't see anybody going at his knees the way Buffalo was this past weekend. I was very disappointed in Buffalo because, again, you're competing. We understand that you're trying to win, but there's a level of professionalism and professional decorum, and you know what it's like to be out there and be a football player if you're a member of the Buffalo Bills. And to be knee hunting the way that they were, it was just unfortunate to see.
He will talk some trash back to him, which he did all day long. But, boy, they were going out.
It's a mistake. You're not in the football players, you know, tick me off on both ends of that. The guys who receive the punishment and the guys who inflict it. Because it's not like it's boxing where you're standing toe-to-toe and you get to hit one another back. If you're an offensive player, okay, I mean, unless you're on the offensive line, you're pretty much taking hits as opposed to giving them. And so I can't stand it when I see guys talking smack as if, you know, you're Gronkowski. It's not like you got the license to just go out there and punch somebody in the face or something like that. They're coming at you. You ain't coming at them. And that's why this thing, just be quiet and be safe. But they're knee hunting Gronkowski, and I think that's real classy.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, what are the odds he stays healthy the whole year through the Super Bowl?
On a scale of 1 to 10?
Yep.
I would say no better than a 5.
Yeah, yep, I would agree with that.
I would say no better than a 5, and that's my concern.
Yep.
So really quickly, the Jets are 9.5-point underdogs when they face the Patriots. But let me tell you who's watching, Stephen A. I'm on Twitter duty right now, okay? Cowboy Nation is watching. An official tweet from the Cowboys.
No.
Yes. What does it say, you guys? Put it up. I guess they're not putting it up. You're welcome. Hashtag Cowboys Nation at ESPN First Take. You see that?
Who's Cowboys Nation?
These are the Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys sent it out.
Are you sure that's the Cowboys?
Yeah, it's a verified tag right there.
Really?
Yeah, look. Look there. Yeah, they're saying
you're welcome. I'm not sure what to read into that. What does that mean?
I don't know. Maybe he's a part of the family. Maybe they are thanking him for acknowledging the greatness of one Tony Romo, Stephen A. Romo.
After you have tried to get an interview with one Jerry Jones.
Yeah,
hey, listen. You know, listen.
Maybe this will put you over the top.
He doesn't want to talk. He doesn't want to talk. I don't blame him all of these years for running from me. I really didn't. But now
he's ready to talk.
No reason to run.
He's got lots to say.
It's on me now. But I got a double or nothing bet for you. You know that I mean I can redeem myself. I could redeem myself. I'm going to keep it to myself right
okay.
now.
Well, I already gave you one shot yesterday. I got the division jersey on.
I put into a request to the bosses, and I'm hoping they come through with it.
Oh, boy.
You know, so I will redeem myself.
I don't know. Yeah, okay.
I am shaking in my boots.
Cloak and dagger type conversation.
You should be.
On Friday, Florida State notified Jameis Winston that he could be charged with 4 student conduct code violations. Florida State announced last week that it will use an independent official in the student code of conduct hearing, but no hearing date has been set as of yet. These charges stem from a female student who said Winston sexually assaulted her in December of 2012. Florida State Attorney Willie Meggs declined to press charges against Winston last December due to inconsistencies and flaws in the evidence. Meanwhile, his coach, Jimbo Fisher, continues to defend the former Heisman Trophy winner.
There's nothing new come out. Everyone acts like this is earth-shattering or something. It is concerning. But the facts of the case, read the reports. And read what's there. The facts are the facts. And that's what they are. And when I see stories written that don't have all the facts, that taint them toward their side of public opinion, this country is based on being innocent to proven guilty, not guilty till you're proven innocent. And there are two sides of that. I think the whole, I don't want a victim for anything. But there is no victim because there was no crime.
There is no victim because there was no crime. As of now, Jameis Winston, again, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner and quarterback for the defending national champions, will play Saturday on ABC against Notre Dame. Skip, I'll give this one to you. How do you believe this latest Jameis incident will affect the game on Saturday?
Stephen A. and Carrie, we were very hard on Jameis in our previous topic, as well we should have been. And now I'm going to say something very positive about this young man's ability to perform on the football field. The crazier his life seems to get, the better he plays. I'm astounded by how well he played at the end of last year and throughout this year. Because has any college athlete ever been spotlighted much more than this kid has been, week after week after week? He's been on that national hot seat. Went through the whole Willie Meggs investigation last year, and he was the most talked about athlete for a while in sports, as we talked about, for all the wrong reasons. And he bounces right out of there and played a great national championship game, great fourth quarter, and this year he has been very impressive to me with so much swirling around him during the weekdays leading up to Saturday. So if I just had to bet on track record, building up to what is I guess it's their regular season game of the year. And by the way, they open as a 12.5-point favorite at home, and that's been bet all the way down to 10.5 because people are starting to jump on that Notre Dame bandwagon, probably because of distractions. I'm with you on this. I think Florida State's going to win big on Saturday night, and I'll bet you that Jameis Winston plays big on Saturday night up against an Everett Golson who's played big all year. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a showdown. It could have, even though we think Jameis is out of the Heisman chase, it's going to have big-time quarterback battle written all over it. Who comes out the best? It's a showdown. 8 o'clock, Saturday night, ABC, right?
Yeah.
I will bet you Jameis plays big.
Okay.
And his coach will continue to defend him, and they'll continue to shield him from the media, and I don't expect him to be doing any interviews on the field after the game. I hope I'm wrong about that. But this kid has the capacity to perform with distraction that's rare to me.
It is rare, and that's why I completely concur with everything that you just said about him. That's the one thing that's going to make all of this very attractive, and it's the one thing that could potentially breed when you talk about anything positive that we look at as it pertains to Jameis Winston. There's some things that are going to be positive that come from all of this, and allow me to explain. Number one, obviously, he performs under immense pressure. But because he performs under immense pressure, we are now going to find out what the NFL is made of. Because remember, the sexual allegation, even though that case was dropped by the district attorney for lack of sufficient evidence, there's still a civil investigation, university investigation under Title IX, all of those things that are remnants from that. He has claimed it was consensual. He has claimed that he is innocent, and his lawyers have been fighting that fight. Well, you got to make a decision, not just in terms of believability, but in terms of, do you want those kind of distractions associated with your franchise, or if you're the NFL, with your product? So because Jameis Winston, if he couldn't perform, then this wouldn't even be an issue. Oh, what do you matter? But because he's Jameis Winston, and under this incredible level of duress, he still goes out there, passes for over 1,600 yards, throws 11 touchdowns, completes over 70% of his passes thus far this season, and has shown the ability to be big time, regardless of the strain, the stress, the duress that is attached to him. That is a trait that is so rare that NFL teams will look at that, and that would supersede anything that you bring to the table. All the baggage and everything else. Because of your ability to showcase that you can handle it for the betterment of the team you represent, that's an attractive commodity that not too many executives or owners on the next level can pass away from. So the reason that I talk about something positive coming from this is because when you look at all the negativity that has been associated with Jameis Winston, in particular, the sexual assault allegations, Kerry, Skip, what it comes down to is this. We're going to find out what you're made of. We're going to find out what you really care about. And what I mean by that is this. Of course, Jameis Winston is going to play on the next level.
Sure.
Plus, he's going to get an opportunity to. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, y'all, that there's no question. Come draft time, leading up to the draft, there is no doubt that Jameis Winston is going to be the #1 overall pick. And there is no question about it. Then all this noise that has been made about the NFL and how it had to adapt to new things and how it had to implement new policy and how it's taking on a more sensitive light and how we're more cognizant of the things that we didn't do in the past, and now we're going to make sure that we don't make that same mistake again. If you just sit there and ignore all of that to say it ain't no question that Jameis Winston's going to be the #1 overall pick, then you have validated and substantiated the claims that have been made by naysayers and all those folks out there who were crying and moaning about what level of or lack of sensitivity the NFL has had.
I agree.
So again, America, this is an enlightening moment. This is a learning moment because we're going to learn. We're going to learn about college football. We're going to learn about Florida State moving forward. We're going to learn about other programs moving forward. And we are definitely going to learn about the NFL. And that's why I say that's something positive.
Okay, but you're presupposing that he would be found, Jameis would be found guilty.
No, I'm not.
Some of the code of conduct.
Not at all.
Charges. And he hasn't, by the way, he hasn't even been charged yet by the school.
I'm glad you asked that question. I appreciate it. Because that's exactly what I'm not saying. I'm saying that in the NFL, the mere fact that your name is in the public has been something that provoked teams to turn away from you. We don't need that distraction. We don't need that kind of stuff in our locker room. It's the NFL, it's the Win Now League and all of this other stuff. How many times have I sat on this very set lamenting the fact that it's not innocent until proven guilty? It's perception. The fact is, the perception about, forget innocence or guilt with Jameis Winston. There is a perception that he is a kid that is somewhat out of control and that he is a kid that is hard-headed and won't listen. So that alone has been enough to make people back off of you in the past. So if none of that occurs when it comes to him with the upcoming NFL draft, then we will know what we need to know.
Okay, but if he is not charged or found guilty of any of these code of conduct violations by Florida State that would pick an independent arbiter and judge to preside over, then you're saying that the NFL would still shy away from
I'm saying to you that when you have talk radio and the media and the public at large viewing somebody as a hard-headed knucklehead who doesn't want to listen to anyone and just wants to do whatever it is that he wants to do, sometimes people don't need to know or become even more aware of your legal situation. The charges could be dropped. You could be found, or they didn't have. Remember, the prosecutor did not say he was innocent. He said there was insufficient evidence and then lambasted the local police.
He did.
Okay, so the point that I'm trying to make, in the eyes of some people, you still have them looking at Jameis Winston as if he were guilty. That's usually enough of a problem for NFL teams with obviously less than market.
Okay, so wait, so what's the next step here? Friday he goes before the board to find out exactly what responding to the code of the 4 allegations, right, for FSU. He goes before them. They say, here are your charges.
To the letter
he has to respond to the letter that they sent him, and then a hearing will be set. Days later. And then from there, say if he is found guilty, what at the end of the day is the ultimate action that FSU can take? They can suspend him. They can dismiss him from school.
A lot of things could happen.
Anything could happen towards his future. He doesn't know yet. So this is still this case is still evolving. Changes still being made. Correct?
Okay. So this is what fascinates me about the scenario you have raised for next year.
For next year for him.
Or coming up to the NFL draft.
Sure.
Okay, so you have 32 owners who are independent but under the same NFL umbrella. And each could have to make a choice, independent of the others. Do I draft this young man, given what people think about him and given the new climate that our league is under? But would you suggest that the league office would send out any memos saying, let's be careful about this young man?
Yes.
Of course.
Okay.
Don't you think so?
I don't know. Well, that's tough because you're telling people how to run their business then. But in this new climate, would that come as a mandate from the league office that we need to stay away from him?
Maybe not official. I'm sure some phone conversations.
I am in no way saying that it would be justifiable on the part of the National Football League to tell teams that Jameis Winston should be hands off. That is beyond the pale. That is crossing the line. Sure. And if they did that to Jameis Winston, I would advocate suing them.
Yeah, but
that is not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I am simply saying is because of the climate that we're living in, teams and the NFL have a right to raise a red flag and to sit there and say, you know something, we're going to look into it too. We're not going to leave it up to the district attorney, FSU, the local Tallahassee Police Department, or anybody.
I agree.
We're going to do our own thing.
But that's good business, Stephen A.
This is good business.
That's good business.
But it's what they were not doing.
Protect your investment.
They were not doing it enough.
ESPN Radio.
With the action on the court, the diamond, or the gridiron.
Comes alive.
The NBA.
The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
Major League Baseball.
The Boston Red Sox have won the World Series.
The new college football playoff.
The Seminoles have completed the perfect season.
Your home for the best in sports play-by-play.
ESPN Radio.
Today's the day. Stephen A. Smith, where's your quarterback? Number 9.
There he is.
It's the worst day of my professional career.
No, he looks to me like an accident that has happened.
I'm going to find a way to get you back.
I know you are.
Mark my words. Yeah. I am not going to forget this.
And neither are we. Joining us at the desk right now is our NFL analyst, Super Bowl winning running back, Jerome Bettis, and our bud. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How do you feel about what's happening here?
First of all, I got to say happy birthday.
Okay.
Happy birthday. And, I mean, you look good in that Cowboys outfit, man.
Yeah.
How about them Cowboys?
How about them boys?
How about them boys, man?
Them boys.
We them boys.
What you know?
Okay.
Still a saying.
I'm just saying, man.
Still a saying. Have you no shame?
For you, no.
Not a bit.
For you, no. You
Not
know
a
why?
bit.
Because if his shoe was on the other foot, you'd be having such a good time.
Please. It'd be worse.
He'd be having such a good time.
True.
Absolutely. So I got to take my shot.
I can take it.
You can. All right. Well, speaking of the Cowboys, we did have some breaking news. This was just into our newsroom. Reserve running back Joseph Randle arrested and charged with misdemeanor for shoplifting on Monday night. According to police, Randle is accused of attempting to steal underwear and cologne from a Texas mall. Underwear and cologne. This is the kid who just on Sunday had 52 yards on 5 carries against the Seahawks. Who wants to go first on this? Reaction to the arrest.
I'll go first on this one because this is the type of thing that happens when a team is playing well. I mean, it never fails that something very, very stupid comes about and really creates a situation where now you have to deal with something other than football in the locker room. And that's the last thing you want to do as a football player is to answer questions that have nothing to do with football. So now I have to speak to the character of a teammate. I have to speak on an issue that has no dealings with football, and it doesn't concern me. But now I'm forced to have to deal with it. And so from a football team perspective, this is what you don't want. The coaches preach it all the time. Let's not do anything that would jeopardize the season, jeopardize what's going on, our focus. And here you have a situation where a guy is possibly trying to steal underwear and cologne.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Underwear and cologne.
Yeah. This is a professional football player. Making almost $500,000 a year.
$425,000.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. Yeah. And this is the type of thing that creates an unraveling in a very, very tight locker room.
I don't believe it.
Oh, okay.
I refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe that he could be this stupid. I mean, I've seen some stupid stuff. I really have seen some stupid stuff. I've been on the air talking about I ain't never seen a joint that cost $1 million. I've seen some stupid stuff. I really, really have. But a dude making $495,000 playing for the Cowboys, America's team, you know, in a position where he might end up getting paid down the road because you don't know if they're going to be able to pay DeMarco Murray after they make him carry the ball 400 times this year. Yeah, you could be the future of the you're going to get arrested for stealing some underwear and some cologne. Really? Skip. I'm trying to tell you right now, I'm speaking facetiously because obviously we're not going to sit there and denigrate our law enforcement officials. They protect us. You understand what I'm saying? And we have to respect them. But I just cannot, I refuse to believe that there can be a professional athlete. This gives new meaning to stupid. I didn't know there was this level of stupid that could be made. I didn't know it existed. I can't believe, Skip Bayless, I can't believe that this man stole some underwear and some cologne. I cannot believe, I don't believe the story.
It didn't happen.
I don't believe the story.
Well,
I refuse to believe it, Skip.
Stephen A, he didn't steal. He attempted. He didn't get it.
I'm sorry. I can't believe he attempted. I'm sorry, attempted.
It had to be a joke or something.
It had to be a joke. Skip, I cannot believe that somebody could be this stupid. I don't. Underwear and cologne? Underwear and cologne? Really?
Keep it fresh.
Really? Yeah. Really? No. Take a bath. Take a bath. A shower. Come on, man. You understand? No, I'm not believing it. I'm not. I cannot believe. No way I can believe that somebody could be that stupid. I can't believe it. Can't believe the story.
When I least expected it, I feel like I lost our bet. That's how bad I feel. This is a bad blow to this football team.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know what happened. I don't know. It's also possible he has a problem.
That's true.
Klepto?
Yes.
Possible.
Sometimes that happens. We've seen Hollywood stars.
Winona Ryder.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah. I was going to bring that up. Yep. Thank you. Look, how many times have you thrown back in my face how many carries DeMarco Murray has already racked up, and he's never made it through a full season unscathed yet. And so last year he had a career-high 217 carries. You can certainly relate to this. And he already has 159. And last year he caught 53 balls, so that's some more pounding. This year he's already caught 21 through a mere 6 games. So he's on pace to take way too many hits. And how many times have I jumped right back in your face and said, you're underestimating Joseph Randle? Now, I don't know how this is going to affect the rest of his year. He's charged with a Class B misdemeanor. I don't know how's that going. Is he going to get suspended for this? Is something I have no idea.
Some probation. That sounds like it's about probation.
But will the commissioner jump in and will he be gone for a couple of games? It's possible.
A game or two.
Sure,
a game or two. This sullies the integrity of the league.
It does.
If it happened.
And it's your basic, as you pointed out, it's one of those distractions you do not see coming. Injuries are one thing. It's the next man forward, right? Next man up. And that's what pro football is all about. This is not what pro football is all about. So that locker room will be a little shook up today, because I'm here to tell you, Joseph Randle had one of the most important plays of that football game on Sunday. They were down 10-0, and they sent him in on the next series, not DeMarco. And he busted loose right up the gut for, 37 yards? And it tilted the game back in Dallas's favor. And they went down and scored a touchdown, thanks to a little Lance Dunbar and finally to DeMarco Murray. But this Joseph Randle, I've told you before, I loved him at Oklahoma State. He was an extremely productive player at Oklahoma State. And I thought they stole him in the 5th round, and I was so happy he was there because I figured he could take some of the pounding that DeMarco won't quite be able to take for the rest of the year. Now, is that in jeopardy? You know how I feel about seasons. Some seasons are meant to be. You've had a season with the Steelers that was just meant to be, where enough guys stayed healthy and enough things broke right that all of a sudden you win the Super Bowl.
Right.
How did that happen? Well, the stars aligned, because you have to stay relatively healthy and unscathed off the field. And this is scathed.
Yeah.
This is scathed with a very important backup player. The most important backup, obviously, Tony Romo would, if it goes down, that would be a big issue.
All right.
Let me give these football players some advice. Ward off the media. He's our teammate. We got to support him. But that don't mean he wasn't stupid if this is true. There's no excuse for it. Right. It's stupid it's wrong, but we're here for him. Period. Don't make this more complicated than it is. Just some free advice.
All right, so wait, hold on
the
one
question
second, Jerome.
becomes-
I want to ask you, because consider what Skip Bayless just said. On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious do you consider this? Because for him, this reserve running back was going to be the go-to for DeMarco. Ultimately, we think through a punishment, maybe a game or two, perhaps probation by the law. How serious is this to you?
It has the potential to be very serious from the standpoint of when you look at, like you said, Skip, the ability of other running backs to take carries away from DeMarco Murray. Now he's not in that situation where he's taking 25, 30 carries a game. You know, he took 29 carries in the last game. So you want in the big games for him to have to take some of that load, but in some of the games where they're ahead, you want some of the backup guys to come in and take some of those carries. And so now you put him in a situation where some games he takes 20 carries, 22 carries. That's not the case right now. From the looks of it, it looks like there's going to possibly be a suspension, but not to mention the mental aspect of where Joseph Randle is going to be when he takes the field. Now he's dealing with some other issues. He's got all these other things going on in his head. And that's a problem. And so now he's embarrassed. He's disappointed in himself. His teammates are disappointed in him. Yeah. And all of a sudden, a fumble happens. Yeah. Let's say a fumble comes. Now you're dealing with so many other variables. Yeah. Those are the type of problems that you don't want.
To your original point here, when, as Jerome said, when a team is flying high, it makes everybody vulnerable because you're out there and you might party a little too hard and you wind up with the wrong people doing the wrong things at the wrong time because you're the stars of the city, man. You own the town. You own the night. But stealing cologne and underwear? Really? That's not flying high, right? I mean, that's flying low.
Okay, so would it be better if he sold something else, Skip?
No, it'd be if he got busted for partying too hard, whatever he got into, then that would be typical.
Drinking a little bit too much at the club at night or whatever.
You could expect
you decided you wanted to make it rain. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be an excuse, but we understand that.
That's typical.
But you're stealing underwear and cologne? Take a bath. Take a shower.
Could have been caught
after you won at Seattle, you're going to steal underwear
and cologne. That's really what makes this even more embarrassing.
Maybe he wanted to sell
underwear and cologne.
If it was a must, I mean,
could you imagine?
The underwear not mandatory.
And then
it's a must.
Oh, you're right about that.
I'm saying if it's a must.
Underwear aren't mandatory.
Underwear not mandatory. If you got to go a day, you don't have any. I mean, you could get away with that.
And you can do the laundry.
You can get away with that. Yeah, but I'm just saying, do you have to steal the underwear?
I can't.
Come on,
underwear.
Okay.
I just don't make any sense.
We're just having a little fun. We're having a little fun today, folks. But on a serious note, it's unfortunate that happened for the Cowboys as they are flying high. Jerome Bettis, thank you so much for joining us.
Could have called MJ for some.
Everybody's got such a high expectation for what our team should be. I was just happy to see our players be happy about playing a game and winning. And it really sort of, if you want to know the truth about it, pisses me off when I talk to people that have this expectation like they're disappointed that we only won the game 14-13 and in the way we played. Really, that's frustrating. You want to talk about something that's frustrating? That's frustrating to me. For our players who play with a lot of heart in the game.
Coach Nick Saban clearly frustrated with the criticism that the Tide received since only beating Arkansas by a point on Saturday. Saban was originally asked about his players' mistakes, but chose instead to discuss his frustration with the high expectations fans place on the team, to the point that a conference win on the road is treated like it's a loss, so he feels. So here's the question. Does Saban have a point about the criticism? Skip.
Stephen A., for once, he has a point. I don't have any problem with what he said in this case. I don't like Coach Saban when he gets antagonistic with the reporters who cover his team and are at these weekly press sessions. I don't like it when he shames reporters for asking what I think are legitimate questions. And you can certainly argue that this was a legitimate question that had been asked that set him off. But if you remember when we did our predictions the other day, we were down to a few seconds left in the topic, and I had to go quickly, and I got 2 words to answer the question, who will win this game at Arkansas? And I said Bama, barely. because I have high regard for Arkansas's football team. I watched Arkansas all but beat Texas A&M at Jerry World earlier this year. Would have beaten them, save for the worst-looking field goal attempt I've ever witnessed. It wasn't just wide left, it was 30 yards wide left. That's how good Arkansas is. And that was a battle, and I got to see the end of that battle on Saturday early evening. It's hard to win these SEC West games, and I think that's his point, that his kids went up there, and they did. They fought their hearts out. The young quarterback, it struggles, Blake Sims, and he had a tough night the other night at Arkansas, but a lot of people are going to have a tough night up at Arkansas. So I get what he's saying, because he's stuck not just in a conference, he's playing in a division in which expectations are sky high, as always, for Alabama. But I think this division, by my eye test early on, we're about, we halfway through the season yet, 6 games in?
Yep.
I see 2 of these SEC West teams in my Final Four, and I think they legitimately belong in the Final Four. Heck, I might be making a case that 3 of them should be in the Final Four. There's 3 of the 4 best teams left standing here. So I have some sympathy for him, because you want to talk about a tough division. I mean, this is absurd. I mean, we've never seen anything quite like these teams when you do the 2 Mississippi teams, obviously State and Ole Miss, and Auburn, and Bama, and A&M, and I can just keep going all the way down to Arkansas in last place, just a notch below LSU. Wow, that's hard. So I get I have some sympathy for what he just went off about.
Skip Bayless, you and I completely disagree on this. From this point, you usually have a problem with what Nick Saban says. I usually don't.
You don't?
I usually don't at all. I think that he's a fantastic coach. I think the principles that he teach are great for college football, for young men. Not to say that they don't make their errors, that they don't make their mistakes. But he certainly doesn't come across as the enabler that Jimbo Fisher has looked like over the last few months. I can promise you that. He is about accountability. And I think that when you are a young man in college, playing for a particular program that's an elite program, you need a coach with that kind of mentality. I have no problem with it. Some of the questions that reporters ask, I'm not here to criticize my colleagues and contemporaries. What I will say is this. You know that coaches have the mentality that anybody that's not in that room watching the film, on the field playing for them, et cetera, doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. If you're a reporter, you have to make sure that a coach knows better than coming at you that way. I've been in the business for over 20 years. You've been in the business for 40. There have been times where people have come after us, but it's only been once. I can promise you that. I've had plenty of coaches. They damn well better not try it twice, because I nipped that in the bud quick, fast, and in a hurry, because I don't work for them. That's the same mentality that these people should have down there. It shouldn't be that we fall at the altar of Alabama's football program, which maybe if those reporters didn't do that, Nick Saban would be a bit more reticent in coming at them like that, because I certainly wouldn't be worried about it if I was covering his team. Now, when you look at it to this year, let me say this. When you look at Nick Saban and the point that he brought up, you can talk about being ticked off, or to use his words, pissed off all you want to. The reality is that you had just lost to Ole Miss, you know, just a week before. Okay, you have to remember that you came off of losing to Auburn last year in the Iron Bowl, and then getting obliterated by Oklahoma in the bowl game, and then you came into this season saying that you thought you had learned a lesson from that. Guys was feeling themselves, they took it a little bit for granted, et cetera, et cetera. So you may very well have cynics, critics out there that are looking at Alabama and the level of expectations his greatness as a coach has established with the Crimson Tide, which, as far as I'm concerned, is the greatest since the days of Bear Bryant, even though Gene Stallings did a fantastic job coaching them for years. In the end, he is a victim. When he's speaking the way that he's speaking, he's complaining about something his own greatness as a coach has established. If this program hadn't been going 13-1 and 12-2, a down year was when you go 10-3 over the last 5-6 years. If you hadn't won 3 championships in a 4-year period, 3 national championships or what have you, maybe they wouldn't be holding you to this standard. But greatness, with greatness comes great and elevated responsibilities.
Okay, but you just detailed they have struggled of late. So shouldn't expectations fall a little bit?
No, because it's just now. The fact is, you said that the end of last year was an aberration. It was guys maybe feeling themselves a little bit too much. So this year, it would prepare you better for this year. Then you come into this year.
He said that.
He said that.
Yeah,
right here.
Yeah.
And then you come into this season and you lose to Ole Miss. And then after that, you get a 1-point victory against Arkansas. By the way, you're on the sideline, gyrating, engaging in histrionics, completely perplexed and exasperated over how your team is not playing. He looked like he wanted to sit there and knock Lane Kiffin's head off sometimes with what the offense wasn't doing Saturday. So if all of that is a fact, how can you blame the outside world for looking at you and saying, there's something that doesn't look right here? They might be wrong, but they're certainly not getting that indication from you, because he certainly is in no celebratory mood when they won 14-13.
No, he was not.
All right,
but he said he was defending his kids more than him.
Well, again, they're pointing to the program led by Nick Saban. There's a level of expectations he has built. Look in the mirror. Blame yourself.
This Saturday, Alabama will host Texas A&M.
If Floyd avoids this fight and he fights Miguel Cotto or Canelo Alvarez, I have no problem with it.
Uh-oh.
If he avoids this fight and takes on Amir Khan, I will come on national television and I will acknowledge to you that Floyd Money Mayweather is avoiding Manny Pacquiao.
Floyd was asked about Stephen A's remarks by FightHype.com, and here's his response. Listen, I don't give two flying expletive what Stephen A. Smith say. I ain't never seen Stephen A. Smith dribble a basketball, catch a football, or box. So I can give two flying expletive what Stephen A. Smith say. Quote me on that. I repeat, I don't give an expletive what Stephen A. Smith gotta say. He's just a critic. Critics only got an opinion like everybody else. Everybody can always talk like they're a football genius, like they're a basketball genius, or like they're a boxing genius, but we ain't never seen them doing nothing but criticize athletes. So it doesn't matter who I fight. I can fight two duds. At the end of the day, it's about working smarter, not harder. So Stephen A. Smith can go on First Take and say whatever he wants to say.
Nobody's calling anybody out. We're simply acknowledging that you're Floyd Mayweather Jr. This is the end of the road. You are on the verge of breaking Rocky Marciano's record by going undefeated in 49-plus fights. There is no way in hell you should be able to get away with selling us Amir Khan. We want Pacquiao, and you said you want to give the fans the fight they want to see. That's all I said. That's what I'm going to continue to say. And if it gets me cussed out repeatedly, so be it. I'm a big man. I play by big man rules. I can take it.
That was the latest in the back-and-forth exchange between our Stephen A. Smith and Floyd Mayweather. Well, after we discussed Mayweather's most recent comments about Stephen A. yesterday, Manny Pacquiao decided to weigh in as well. And he sent the following tweet. Take a look. Last I checked, freedom of speech was still part of the U.S. Bill of Rights. Bravo, Stephen and Skip. That sounds very fluent coming from one Manny Pacquiao. Gosh, your English is amazing. Stephen A., your take on what Pacquiao is trying to say here?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the fact that we know that Manny Pacquiao watches the show. I appreciate the fact that he's been a guest on this show. And regardless of how much I tease him, I know that Manny Pacquiao is a future Hall of Famer. He's one of the great boxers in history. He's a champion, and I appreciate his warrior mentality because he never ducks getting in the ring with anybody. With that being said, I don't need support for Manny Pacquiao, not even a little bit. I respect where he's coming from, but don't try to jump on this bandwagon and act that because Floyd came at me in the disrespectful manner that he did, that it means I'm going to side against him on this particular subject. My position has not wavered. As it pertains to Manny Pacquiao, I do believe Floyd is right when Floyd says that Manny Pacquiao just wants the money. Manny Pacquiao is trying to position himself to get a big payday. He knows that Floyd is the one that could deliver that for him if Floyd agrees to fight him. And Manny Pacquiao is just trying to pile on, and in this particular instance, use me to do it in order to get Floyd in the ring. I do believe that that is the case. However, despite the fact that I believe it's the case, let me also say, I don't think Manny Pacquiao is wrong for doing it. He should use every means necessary to try and get Floyd in the ring because he should want a big payday because he has earned it. And I have no doubt that he wants Floyd too. Let's make this clear. He does want Floyd. And I'm not trying to imply that he does not. I'm simply saying that Floyd is right with what he says about Manny Pacquiao in terms of Manny Pacquiao wanting that money too. So don't try to get slick and use me and whatever beef Floyd may have with me to try to infiltrate the proceedings per se and position yourself to get that payday. You deserve it, Manny. I hope you get it, but don't be slick. We know what you did. Please, just stop it. But with that being said, let me revisit on this level. I said what I said, and I mean what I mean. Floyd Mayweather, feel free to cuss me out anytime you want. I will not let up. Manny Pacquiao is the fight we want to see. Skip Bayless has called Floyd Mayweather out on many occasions. I have said 1,000 times I think that Skip Bayless is wrong.
Yeah.
I think if Floyd fights Miguel Cotto or Canelo Alvarez, there is no problem with that. None whatsoever. But even though Manny Pacquiao got knocked out too, as the guy Ben Thompson for FightHype.com pointed out, in the end, there is nobody clamoring to see Floyd fight Amir Khan. We want Manny Pacquiao. And if you don't fight Cotto and you don't fight Alvarez and you still avoid Pacquiao and you try to sell us Amir Khan, not only will I finally believe that you're ducking him, I will sit here. Of course, I have to receive approval because ESPN does own the network.
They do.
Walt Disney owns the network, not Stephen A. Smith.
No, you do
but
not.
as long as they don't have a problem with it, I will sit here and advocate that nobody even buy that fight. And I will say so religiously. We want Pacquiao. Pacquiao. That's what we want.
Allow me to say to my friend Manny Pacquiao, you can infiltrate these proceedings anytime you want to. Bring it, Manny. We love it. We love you. We love what you're doing. Taunt this man. Dare this man to fight you because he continues to run from you. And I appreciate my friend Stephen A. Smith calling out his man Floyd and just saying, we know, you just laid it on the line. It was very simply put and beautifully put and correctly put. We don't want to see Canelo anymore. Who else is it?
Amir Khan.
But I mean, even I don't want to see.
Canelo.
No, I don't want to see those. I want to see this fight.
Yeah.
Now, Manny still has a dangerous fight ahead of him. I don't even know if he cares about these Algerians.
Right.
Yeah.
He's legit. I know.
He's legit boxer, not a puncher.
Yeah, no, I know. But again, Manny wants this. And remember, if you do just want a payday, that means you have to get in the ring with the other fighter, and you have to risk your face and your brain and your pride and your record against said fighter. And I don't think Manny is for 1 second afraid of Floyd Mayweather Jr. I know he wants the money. They all want the money. We get that.
Of course.
No problem
but in
with
the
that.
end,
no problem with that.
You have to risk to go in the ring. You can't go in the ring and just, he's not going to take a dive.
Wait, so your point is he's not afraid. He doesn't care about the money.
He's not afraid.
But you believe Floyd is.
Afraid of Manny? Yes, he is. Floyd is. It's not about the money to Floyd. Floyd's got enough money. Obviously, they all care. In the end, nobody has enough money. That's what rich people always tell me that. Yeah. Nobody ever has enough money. Okay, I get that. But in the end, this is about the battle that would take place in the ring. Floyd is afraid of Manny. Manny is not afraid of Floyd. That's why I believe Manny will beat Floyd if and when they fight, and I don't believe they ever will. Because I'm not.
I believe they will. I refuse to believe that Floyd is afraid of Manny Pacquiao, as I've stated. I believe that Floyd will beat Pacquiao. He will either give him a boxing lesson that he's never seen for 12 rounds, or he'll take him out in 11. I have said all of that, but I will be on the record by admitting to you that, again, two things. Floyd tries to sell us Amir Khan. I'm not going to deny it anymore, number one. And number two, I will advocate that nobody buys that pay-per-view fight. And, oh, by the way, last point that I didn't bring up yesterday, you talking about the Hall of Fame. There is no question. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is one of the best ever. He's a magician in the ring as far as I'm concerned. No question about it. And he is going into the Boxing Hall of Fame with ease. But if he thinks for 1 second that you're going to go into that Boxing Hall of Fame and nobody's going to attach that you never fought Pacquiao to your record, you got another thing coming. It does not work that way. Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard. Tommy Hitman Hearns got knocked out by Iran Barkley. He lost to Marvin Hagler. He lost to Sugar Ray Leonard. Tommy the Hitman Hearns is still considered one of the greatest ever because he fought everybody.
Yep.
Sugar Ray fought
I agree.
everybody.
LeBron James is a pretty well-known Cowboys fan, but in case anyone needed a reminder, he posted this on Instagram yesterday. When someone say, quote, "Man, your Cowboys stink," I say, "Yeah, I know we do, sitting at 5-1. Ha, 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 we them boys strive for greatness." Seems pretty harmless, right? But let's not forget, LeBron is back in Cleveland, and so there are people who want him to be rooting for the Browns. One person in particular, Brian Hoyer. He is a fellow Cleveland native. He would like for LeBron to be on their side. So, Skip Bayless, your take.
My take is, Stephen A., I must admit, when I saw this Instagram post, I was surprised that the new LeBron, the gone home LeBron, wasn't a little more discreet about his love for the Dallas Cowboys. Just a little more mature about it, a little more respectful. After starting with his open letter to SI, he talked about how Northeast Ohio has a special place in my heart.
Right.
And now the team that has the most special place in Northeast Ohio's heart, the Cleveland Browns, are hot. Shockingly so. So it seems like, and I've always suspected that LeBron was a Cowboy and a Yankee fan, because in part it helps his global brand. I mean, what two better teams to align yourself with than Cowboys and Yankees? If you want to sell yourself Michael Jordan globally, beautiful. Okay. But once you go home, you choose to go home, and you talk about what a special relationship you have with Northeast Ohio that transcends basketball, a relationship you didn't realize you had until you left for Miami. Why wouldn't you back off just a little bit and not post pictures of yourself? It just seems like that those Cleveland Browns fans, or just Cleveland fans in general, would cringe at the sight of LeBron James decked out in total head-to-toe Cowboy paraphernalia like you are right now, gloating on Instagram very publicly about my Dallas Cowboys when your Cleveland Browns deserve a little attention. He's tweeted about the Browns too, but which is fine. But in his heart of hearts, clearly, he is a Dallas Cowboy fan, as are you.
What is his face?
As a closet Cowboy fan.
What's going on with the face?
It's one of the most ridiculous subjects I've ever heard. Number one. Number two, I'm sitting there like, do you just wake up in the morning and look for things to get upset about with LeBron James? That's unbelievable.
I didn't post that picture.
So what?
Maybe I did in my sleep.
So what I'm saying is, what's the big deal? The man came back home to play in Cleveland. That, trust me, that he is not turning anyone off by being a Dallas Cowboys fan. First of all, the Cleveland Browns are not the Cleveland Cavaliers. Secondly, he's back home. Thirdly, they don't play in the team that he roots for does not play in the AFC North. Okay, it is Pittsburgh, it is Baltimore, it is Cincinnati, it is Cleveland. They don't even play in Ohio. They don't even play in the AFC Conference. So excuse me if this dude decides that, you know what, I've always been a Cowboy lover. Why fake the funk now? Why all of a sudden be playing back for the Cleveland? Oh, stop it, please. Please, you're the Cleveland Cavaliers. Do me a favor, Cleveland Browns rather. Do me a favor. Go continue to win some daggone games. Return to relevancy, okay? Do that.
Okay, so Stephen A. is insinuating that Skip wakes up in the morning trying to find reasons to be mad at LeBron.
By the way, I got something to tell you real quick.
No, wait. We got something to tell you real quick.
What is that?
Because it's your birthday, we also are celebrating another birthday. Delina, our AP, it's her birthday.
Oh,
Come out here, my friend. Delina is walking out a birthday cake. It's your cake. It's her cake. It's a Cowboy cake.
It's a Cowboy cake.
It's a Cowboy
LeBron's cake, too.
Happy birthday to ya.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
A Cowboy cake. A Cowboy cake.
Rubbing your face in that cake.
Birthday.
Y'all ain't bring a knife or something?
No. Oh, dig it. With your face. Like, just dive into it.
No,
with your fingers. With your fingers.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing
your fingers?
that. But I will eat a piece of this cake.
All right, we got 30 seconds.
I will cut it in half.
What's your bet for this one?
Skip Bayless, I have asked the bosses, and I hope I am willing to show up at AT&T Stadium on Thanksgiving Day when the Cowboys play the Philadelphia Eagles. I want us to do First Take from Cowboy Stadium.
Okay.
That's not a bet.
Well,
no, I will wear Eagles. An Eagles uniform. That's how sure am I that I'm going to make amends for this losing this bet. The Eagles will beat Dallas on Thanksgiving Day.
You're going to bet me that Eagles beat Dallas?
In Dallas on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, you're going to lose that.
That's right.
That doesn't sound like a good bet. We got to think of another one.
I'd win that.
We're done. Stephen A. Romo was such a good trooper. We'll see you tomorrow.
I hope the bosses let us